You're watching TCTV News, your only source for news and entertainment on campus.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of TCTV News. I'm Ron L. Hunt.
And I'm Liz Carlson.
Punxsutawney Phil woke up Monday morning to a crowd of camera crews watching eyes as he came out of his hole. The famous groundhog crept out of his den at 7:25 this morning to determine the fate of winter. Phil saw a shadow, which means 6 more weeks of winter are in store. Phil also saw a shadow last year during Groundhog's Day Festival and was correct in his prediction. This year, we expect to have cold temperatures lasting into March. It is predicted that this year's winter will be remembered for its duration and not so much its cold temperature. The Institute for Research Information on Social Sciences Library in Moscow went up in flames Friday evening. The fire destroyed 2,000 square meters of the building and caused part of the roof to collapse. The fire also destroyed more than 1 million historical documents that were housed in the library. The Russian Emergency Situations Ministry said that there were 147 firefighters who worked on the fire throughout the night and through the next day for a total of 25 hours. The library contained the largest selection of its kind. The police are still investigating to find out the cause of this fire.
The follow-up to the Pulitzer Prize-winning book To Kill a Mockingbird will be finally released. Titled Ghost Set a Watchman, this will only be author Harper Lee's second book to be published. The author said in a statement that she actually wrote the second novel first, but was convinced by an editor to write a book about the childhood of the main character, which became To Kill a Mockingbird. The 50-year gap between the two books will be the largest for any author in American history. Yesterday, Thiel College celebrated Founders Day and held a ceremony to kick off the annual winter weekend. Several faculty and staff members were honored at the ceremony, and the event culminated with the awarding of Lewis and Barbara Thiel Distinguished Service Award to Dr. Robert Olson. Dr. Olson was the 18th president of the college. The winter weekend festivities continue tonight with an alumni networking event at 5 p.m. and a mind reading show at 6 p.m. Don't miss the Black and White Ball on Saturday evening, starting at 8 p.m.
North Korea released a statement saying they would no longer be a part of the stalled Six-Nation talks, which aim to denuclearization. In the statement released by the nation's Defense Commission, they vowed to respond to any U.S. aggression with nuclear strikes and cyber attacks. The statement calls the United States gangster-like and called the Obama administration a mudslinging cesspool after President Obama put sanctions on the country following an alleged cyber attack. Lance Armstrong hit 2 parked cars with his vehicle after partying in Aspen in late December. It just recently come out that he was driving after blaming the accident on his girlfriend for the past month. She told police at first they agreed to let her take the blame to avoid national attention.
Brutal footage of a man being burned to death in a cage was released Wednesday. Jordan's King Abdullah II ended his trip to the United States early after being shown the footage of the Jordan pilot. The man burned to death was Lieutenant Muta Alkabesh, a 26-year-old Jordan citizen who was captured. King Abdullah was at the White House for a meeting with the president to try and resolve the mass killings and destroy the militant that was responsible. The video clip seen by the king showed the pilot being beaten and bruised. Towards the end of the video, the pilot was shown in an orange jumpsuit. He was then lit on fire by a masked militant. For the first time ever, lung cancer has passed breast cancer in the leading cause of women's death. Lung cancer has been the top killer for men for a few years now, but has just recently made its way to the top for the leading killer of women as well. This sudden spike is due to the increase in women smokers. This increase began 3 decades ago, and the effects are just now showing. Lung cancer has the highest mortality rate among both men and women, while prostate and breast cancers continue to have the highest number of diagnoses.
New York City police are on the hunt for a man who slashed 3 people in the face with a box cutter. Police believe that the man went on his rampage around 1:20 Wednesday morning on a subway train in Manhattan. Police say the man got into an argument with another passenger on the train and slashed him in the face. During the incident, the man also slapped a woman in the face and he escaped Union Square subway station. While outside of the subway station, the man slashed a homeless man in the face, as well as another man who he demanded money from. The 3 victims were hospitalized and are all in stable condition. Linda Sparling of Brush Prairie, Washington, claims she was gazed in the head by a bullet. The woman and her family live near the local shooting range, which is where she claimed the bullet came from. The family says they cannot prove the bullet came from the range, but after finding more than a pound of discharged rounds in their yard, they are pretty sure they have a case. Linda suffered a concussion from the bullet and was lucky she did not sustain any more injuries. The family is considering taking legal actions for the incident, but local police chief says that this was just a freak accident.
Staples and Office Depot may soon be under the same name. Staples announced recently that they will be buying out Office Depot for $6 billion. The rival store will soon be under one owner and are expected to make a combined $39 million in sales. The 2 companies tried to combine in earlier years, but were unsuccessful in their efforts due to blocked antitrust regulators. Just over a year ago, Office Depot also bought out Office Max in a similar deal, making Office Max also under the ownership of Staples. Late Wednesday night in Taiwan, a Trans-Asia Airways plane crashed into a shallow river located in the city's capital. Rescuers were on the scene and had to use a crane to hoist the refugees out of the wreckage. The rescuers determined that 26 people died and 17 are still missing. The Flight 235 was carrying 58 people, all from areas surrounding Taiwan. 15 people were found alive among the wreckage, most of them being travelers from China. A dramatic video clip of the plane clipping a bridge on the way down can be seen online.
A train crash that occurred on Tuesday in Valhalla, New York, is being investigated. The Nation Transportation Safety Board is looking into a terrible train wreck that killed 6 people. A woman had stopped her SUV between crossing gates on a railroad track, which caused a train and vehicle to collide. Several other people involved in the crash did manage to survive the wreckage. The crash was the deadliest accident in the 22-year history of one of the busiest commuter railroads in the nation. The United States is about to begin destroying its largest remaining stockpile of chemical-laden artillery shells. This motion by the government marks a milestone in the global campaign to eradicate a weapon that still creeps into the modern wars. The Pueblo Chemical Depot in southern Colorado plans to start neutralizing 2,600 tons of aging mustard agent in March. This move by the United States complies with the treaty made in 1997 that banned all chemical weapons from modern warfare.
Early Saturday morning in Ruders, New York, a man shot and killed his family and himself. Among the victims of the shooting were the man's 7-year-old daughter, his girlfriend, and her mother. The incident occurred inside their home. The man behind the gun was Jonathan Walker. He was 34 years old. Also critically wounded in the incident was the shooter's other 12-year-old daughter. She is currently in the hospital under intensive care. Police stated that the incident was a domestic violence case and blamed it on the issues involving the man and his relationship. The snow just keeps on coming.
Well, the weather outside is frightful and the fire is so delightful, but in some cases, we cannot always complete with the flight of the fire. Heavy flakes of snow pounding on cars as well as streets makes it hazardous for students to go to class.
We're walking up the hill on Packard Ave, and there's a lot of potholes on that road, but when they're covered in snow, you can't really see them. I stuck my foot in a pothole, and the other foot was not in the pothole, and I face planted after that.
That wasn't the only thing making it hard for students to walk to class. It also appears to be large amount of ice were also blockading the sidewalks.
And I probably slid like a good 10 feet down the hill before I stopped myself.
I was coming out of Greenville Hall, and the steps were a little icy, and I fell.
Are you a big fan of ice or no?
No, I hate the winter. Can't wait to move south.
One of our viewers actually had a few choice words for the maintenance workers of Till College.
Definitely increase the output of salt because, you know, that's definitely going to prevent a lot of injury. Another thing is just get more crew members here to be plowing more consistently because I don't think anything was plowed over the weekend.
It seems like all students at Till College are upset about the uproar of snow and everything else, but the main thing that we can find out is that everything that's being shoveled off the sidewalks does not particularly have to deal with snow, but a majority of it is nothing but ice. TCTV News, Ron L. Hunt, back to you guys at the desk.
Stay tuned for entertainment news with Taylor Squared when we come back. Stick around.
Thanks for tuning in, Tomcats, and welcome to TCTV Entertainment. Unfortunately, there's only one Taylor tonight. Taylor Fink has the night off. I'm Taylor Runser. The Super Bowl brings all kinds of fanatics together. Sports fans assemble to bet on which team will win. There are commercials to entertain even the dullest personalities or evoke emotion, as the ones this year have. But a lot of fans wait all year for the halftime show performances. This year, Katy Perry gave 110% into the performance. Bruno Mars set the bar high last year in the halftime show, but Katy Perry rocked the stage on Sunday with Dancing Sharks and Motorized Lion. The pop star blew fans' expectations away with outfit changes and props she brought into her performance. Perry had sang many of her hits, including Roar, Dark Horse, and Firework. Music fans everywhere are preparing themselves for the Grammys this Sunday. Kanye West will be co-hosting the award show with Paul McCartney. Kanye will also be performing 2 times throughout the show. There is speculation of who will be winning the most Grammys on Sunday evening. Queen Bee, better known as Beyoncé, has been given major competition this year with Taylor Swift's newest album, Pharrell, and newcomer Sam Smith. Iggy Azalea was nominated for 3 awards for her hit Fancy. Meghan Trainor's All About That Bass has been nominated quite a few times as well. Music fanatics ask themselves who's going to win the most awards. Harper Lee, author of To Kill a Mockingbird, is set to release a sequel to the classic on July 14th this year. The novel, titled Ghost at a Watchman, was originally written before To Kill a Mockingbird, and at the advice of her editor, she had set the book aside. Now, 60 years later, her first book will finally be published. The unpublished novel features Scout Finch's return from New York to visit her father, Atticus Finch. Lee plans to publish 2 million copies at first. The now 88-year-old award-winning author had rarely spoken to the media since the publication of To Kill a Mockingbird, and it is said that she is unlikely to do so for her newest novel. The wedding bells are chiming as the iconic actor Johnny Depp is set to marry Amber Heard this upcoming weekend. Depp and Heard have been engaged for a year and are excited to finally make their way to the altar and say "I do." The venue is set on an island in the Bahamas Depp had purchased in 2004 and dubbed Little Hall's Pond Cay. Romance will fill the 45 acres as hearts of girls around the world are shattered. This will be Heard's first marriage and Depp's second. In 2012, he divorced Vanessa Paradis after 14 years together. The exes now share custody of a son and a daughter. Super Bowl weekend has a new box office record of $31.8 million brought in by American Sniper. This new favorite movie has already brought in $250 million since its release on January 16th. The only competitor with American Sniper over Super Bowl weekend was Paddington, coming in at almost $8.5 million. If American Sniper keeps going at this pace, it could even pass up The Hunger Games. American Sniper has really set the bar high over this past Super Bowl weekend. The death of a big-time actor leaves a family in a mess with his estate. Robin Williams' death affected everyone, and now money and property have been a huge debate for Mrs. Williams and her children. Many of Robin's belongings had to be appraised. Mrs. Williams was only with Robin since 2011 and should have been last on the list to receive his items, and she be beneither his own children. Bruce Jenner is transitioning into a different person. Literally, he is transforming himself into a woman. After his secret struggle, reality TV father and former Olympian Bruce Jenner is finally happy and transitioning into a woman. Bruce's mother has opened up to his new transformation and is so proud of the person he is, being himself, being a great father, and everything he has accomplished. His mother has said, "I am more proud of him now than when he stood in front of everyone and put the gold medal on his neck." Though the news is shocking, the Kardashian crew is adjusting and giving Bruce their unconditional support. Ricardo Medina's charges of fatally stabbing his housemate have been dropped. The former Power Rangers star, also known as the Red Ranger, reportedly stabbed his housemate Joshua Sutter in the abdomen because he was trying to break into Medina's room. Medina claims that Sutter had beat him in the kitchen of their home, forcing Medina into his bedroom where his girlfriend was also hiding. Medina stated to the courts that he had been acting in self-defense and has been released from jail. The district attorney has asked the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department to further investigate the events. That's all we've got in the world of celebrities. I'm Taylor Runser. Keep it tuned right here for Sports with Paul, coming right up.
Good evening, Tomcats, and welcome to TCTV Sports. I'm Paul Connolly. Let's talk about what you missed. The New England Patriots defeated the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday, February 1st. With just 20 seconds left in the game, the Seahawks were 1 yard away from scoring the winning touchdown. Patriots rookie Malcolm Butler made an outstanding pick to save the game, leaving the score 28-24, giving Tom Brady his 4th Super Bowl win. Rumors are flying that Ravens head coach John Harbaugh had prior knowledge about the deflated footballs used in the AFC Championship game. Harbaugh says that the deflation of the footballs had nothing to do with the Ravens' loss to the Patriots in the second round of the AFC playoffs. But Harbaugh mentioned that he did not even think about it until after reading articles about the football deflation. Future collegiate football stars have been waiting for this moment for their entire careers. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday was college football signing day. All day long, ESPNU aired the high school prospective athletes signing to their respective colleges or making final decisions on the spot. Highlights of the day included Alabama finishing with the #1 recruiting class, Auburn signing #1 defensive end Byron Cowart, and rapper Snoop Dogg's son Cordell Broadus signing with UCLA. Known as one of the best fighters ever in UFC and MMA history, Anderson Silva recently tested positive for anabolic steroids on January 9th. Silva's fight in UFC 183 was at the end of the month. However, the test results did not come back until February 3rd, which allowed him to fight. A particular fight might be declared as a no contest due to Silva's opponent Nick Diaz testing positive for marijuana metabolites in a post-fight drug test. What does this mean for Silva? Well, the positive test could result in a hefty fine along with suspension from the UFC. Currently, the UFC commissioners are discussing what to do for Silva's situation. Ever wonder about what it would be like to sneak into a venue without being caught? 2 men from Ireland did something they'll never forget and snuck into the Super Bowl. After finding out the ticket prices, both men decided to make a last-ditch effort to see the big game and snuck into the big game. They claim to have followed closely behind a medical team of 20 people and found their way walking past more than 5 security checkpoints and into the game. To make things even better, after seat hopping for the first half, they made their way even closer to the field. The seats they chose were worth a total of $50,000 and were actually owned by 2 girls dancing in the halftime show. The gentleman sitting next to them was none other than former Super Bowl winner Laurie Milloy, who provided some live analysis throughout the rest of the game. The staff at Forbes magazine recently generated a list of the highest paid NHL superstars around the league. Who tops the list, you might ask? Well, surprise, it's Pittsburgh's very own Sidney Crosby. This season, Crosby will make an estimated $16.5 million, including $4.5 million off of endorsements and memorabilia. Entering the league in 2005, Crosby proved his worth by winning the scoring title and MVP in only his second season, the Stanley Cup in 2009, and scoring the winning goal in the gold medal match at the Olympics for Team Canada. Even though Crosby has struggled with injuries after the Olympics, missing almost 50% of those 3 seasons, the Pens signed him for a whopping 12-year, $104.4 million contract. On Tuesday, Colts linebacker DeQuell Jackson was arrested for an assault charge. Authorities report that the quarrel took place when Jackson and another driver argued over a parking space. The driver involved said that Jackson had punched him on the left side of his face and then on the back of his head. Jackson was released on bail later that night. Legendary baseball player Ernie Banks of the Chicago Cubs passed away at the age of 83. Banks was a valuable player to the Cubs for 19 seasons and was inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1977. His death was announced Friday by the Cubs organization after Banks had passed of an apparent heart attack. That's all we got for sports this week. When we come back, we got right on with the weather. Stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning in today to TCTV Weather. My name is Ronell Hunt. Let's see what's going on around our region and around our particular back of the woods. Now, if we take a look right here, right on that eastern section right there, we're going to see that we have up there Minneapolis, 26 degrees. We're going to be dropping low, very low within the degrees. We're going to look right there at St. Louis, 47 degrees, 47. They're going to be looking pretty well-rounded right there. I know a lot of us in the Greenville and Pennsylvania area wish we did have those type of weather percentages coming up. Nashville, 47, all around this area. until we get a little bit toward the middle right there. We're going to have Detroit aiming at about 27 degrees, Cincinnati 31 degrees, and throughout, always coming across this whole entire area, we're going to have at about 22, 24 degrees and in our low 20s. All right on over to our regional radar. We see that all around, no matter if we're coming from east to west, we're going to look pretty good right now, pretty clear. Still make sure you have your boots on. We might have some overnight snow coming, but for right now, we're safe to say that there is no snow coming at this very second. All right, let's see what's going on right now. Right now, we can see we're going to be aiming at about 24 degrees right now, the high of 23 degrees. 2 degrees as our low, and wind mile per hour coming from our southwestern region at 17 miles per hour with humidity at 60%. All right, now over to our favorite part, our 7-day forecast. Going to keep us updated on what's going on for the remainder of this week. Friday, we're going to have 24 degrees with a low of 21 degrees, moving right on into the weekend of 36 degrees and 38 degrees in the high 30s. We're going to have roughly about a 20% chance of precipitation, but it's going to move up a little bit more. Unfortunately, we're going to drop down to some freezing weather, and we're going to have a breeze coming on Monday and following us off. Partly cloudy Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. It seems like Mother Nature's trying to play a prank on us because we're going to have some wind as well as precipitation, ending off that 7-day forecast with 28 degrees with a low of 21 degrees. That's all for our weather, and we're going to run right over back to the desk.
Thanks, Ronell. A man by the name of James Robertson has walked 21 miles every day to and from for the past 10 years. James was left to walk after his 1988 Honda broke down and he could not afford to buy a new car. James works in a factory that is 23 miles away from his home. He takes the public bus part of the way, but is forced to walk the rest.
He makes this journey every day and has yet to miss a day of work in these 10 years. After hearing about the story, student Evan Leedy started an online fundraiser to help get James a car. His goal was to raise $5,000, but due to some very generous people, he managed to raise over $180,000. I think it's safe to say James will be comfortably driving to work from now on. Well, that's all we have for TCTV News. I'm Ronell Hunt.
And I'm Liz Carlson. Thanks for watching.
You've been watching TCTV News, your only source for news and entertainment on campus.